my name is Shannon Frame, and I'm the Technical Additions Manager here at the EBU for Technology and Innovation.
My name is Hélène Robimata. I work as a Business Development Manager for Eurovision Academy.
Hi, my name's Angela Bradbury. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Chime Advisors.
My name is Doris Olsen-Schöne. I work as a team leader in the post-production department, dealing with data servers and video editing at our broadcast company Bremedia Produktion.
My name is Catherine Ferry. I work as policy analyst for the Canadian government.
My name is Farah Bouassida and I'm a software developer intern at the European Broadcasting Union.
Nilin Katrancıgil, strategy expert from Turkish Radio and Television Corporation. I'm an electronic engineer with Master of Science degree.
My name is Paola Sunna and I am a senior research engineer at the Research Center of RAI in Italy, Turin, where I work on multimedia and video technologies.
My name is Adrienne MacDonald. I'm an online communications officer at a non-profit organization called Medicines for Malaria Venture.
My name is Anna Erk and I'm a web tech assistant at EBU.
I'm Judy Parnell. By profession, I'm a chartered electronic engineer and I'm currently working as the head of standards and industry at the BBC's R&D department.
I'm Charlotte Potter-Landua and I'm a promo producer for the Disney Channel.
Hello, my name is Maria Lasarte and I work as a social media manager at the International Organization for Standardization, ISO.
I'm a girl and I love technology because we can use it for so much research and it's a really fun way to do it. We use all the Google apps like Google Slides and Google Docs. We even use Google Classroom to send it all to our teacher so she can mark it and get it back.
I remember as a child really having so many ideas of what I wanted to be when I grew up. I think if I narrow it down, I really wanted to be a writer, possibly a teacher, and then really later in my teenage years, actually a curator of a museum.
I can't remember having in mind a dream job. Even really early on, I think I was more thinking in terms of having a dream life. More like a life that would combine personal and professional engagement. But where and how, I think I wasn't sure about anything.
As a child, my dream was to be a scientist. I think that's because I was really good at solving puzzles. I absolutely loved them. And at school, it seemed that the subjects where you'd get to solve the most problems was in science and maths.
My dream job when I was little was to become an actress. I always thought it would be very nice to get a job which is a bit different. To become an actress didn't work. So I looked for something else, something that is unusual for women to learn. Luckily, I came across the profession of a video engineer. I was always fascinated by anything to do with television. So the video engineer was my profession.
As a child, it was my dream to be a computer programmer. I remember one day I was driving with my dad in the car and I asked him what it was that made the traffic lights work in sequence with one another, how they knew when to change from yellow to red and red to green. And he told me that they were programmed by a computer programmer.
My dream as a child was to be a teacher because my teachers inspired me a lot and I enjoyed teaching whatever I learned at school to my puppets, on a blackboard.
When I was a child, about 4 or 5 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut. There might be two reasons for this. It must be because of the first travel of the mankind to the moon in 1969. Or perhaps I inspired from a toy in my childhood. I remember that with my brother we were playing with a robot-like astronaut toy.
It could sound a little bit strange, but when I was a child, I hadn't a dream job. I was simply hungry for knowledge.
As a child, I imagined that when I grew up, I would maybe be a nurse, like my mom. I was also interested in things like physiotherapy, sports psychology, and health promotion. I really liked the idea of doing something that could help people to lead a healthier, more active life.
I remember myself as a child to be very creative and very curious. I remember taking piano lessons, I remember taking dancing lessons, and my dream job, I think it was something like being a ballerina or just something extremely girly and embarrassing.
When I was a child, I wanted to own an old-fashioned sweet shop because I wanted to serve sweets to all the children and make them happy.
My dream job as a child was to become an obstetrician, so essentially do what a midwife does and deliver babies.
When I was a kid, I dreamed of being so many different things. I basically changed my mind every year. But I think the one that was most dear to me at the time was being a writer. And I think that has translated very well into my current position as a communicator.
I'm a girl and I'm excited about technology because we use a lot of QR codes in our class to help us present our presentations. So we will either go on the computers downstairs and we will print out the QR codes so then we can share in a new way.
I actually stumbled into technology not having the background, and it was during my time with ISO, the International Standards Organization, and there I was managing my own technical committees for health. And then I came here to the EBU, and I have to say technology outside of my work life before was always a passion of mine, and now it's really what I see myself doing. It's changing all the time, you're always learning something, and I think it's just such a great field to be in and to be able to communicate in, and I'm happy to represent the department in that way.
Well, if anything, I have a very editorial background. I studied political science, international relations, economics, history. But I've been working for the EBU for almost 15 years now. And over those 15 years, I've really witnessed what I think is a dramatic change. It's the fact that technology is more and more interconnected with content. So content specialists, they really need to understand more about technologies. And technologies, they need to understand the end users. So for me, it's really fascinating because whether in my work or at home, I see that technology has so much tools and applications to offer. And applications that can be used by everyone. So it's become a bit of a mission of mine to develop communication between producers, journalists, and technologists, so that they can really together make the best use of technology. So it's really more about trying to find a common understanding, maybe a common language.
As I progressed through science, through to university level, it seemed that it actually becomes a lot more either sort of theoretical and abstract or experimental, and you're having to do a lot of repetitive manual labour, basically. That's when I decided to move into business, where I could literally solve problems day to day, and that brought me to management consulting. In terms of what then attracted me into the tech industry, I really felt, particularly as a young woman, it was difficult to progress in the kind of the corporate hoops that you had to jump through in order to get promoted. And I was really attracted to the idea of tech kind of rewriting all the rules about how you could progress in your career, how you could create this construct for yourself. And particularly as an entrepreneur, you're creating everything for yourself. So that's what really attracted me to startups and tech in general.
I do not work in the tech industry, although I do love technology. I love social media. I think that social media is the ultimate democratic tool. It's accessible. It offers a convenient platform for anyone who has something to say. As a child, it was my dream to be a computer programmer. And my aunt was a computer programmer, my Aunt Lisa. And I thought that was pretty cool. She was someone I admired, and I can imagine that in the early 90s for a woman to be in the tech industry, it was quite rare, even more so than it is today. So I think it shows how important it is to have a role model that we can relate to. I don't consciously remember the reason for why I did not pursue that dream, although I think it has a lot to do with culture. That The culture is slowly changing. There are more and more women working in what are considered to be non-traditional sectors. And perhaps just as importantly, there are more men working in areas that have traditionally been considered more feminine. We all have a role to play in this cultural shift.
I think I am really lucky to be in a generation where we could choose whatever career path we want, and I had really supportive parents that helped me to be ambitious, always taught me to work hard, and I didn't think about being a woman in technology. I just chose the career path that challenges me the most.
I was always fascinated by how things worked. My parents have a photo of my dad having taken the back off an old transistor radio, and I was probably about 3 in this photo. I'm looking intently, curiously at what it was and how everything worked. I remember asking, what's that resistor and how does it work and what does it do? Combining my love of and curiosity with a fascination for problem solving led me to technology and to the engineering industry. And the fact that I got involved during my teens in making a lot of music and in doing backstage theatre work led me to the broadcast industry specifically.
During my studies at university, I started to become interested in communications, and I started my career as a communications coordinator promoting community health and wellness programs. From there, I moved on to work for nonprofit organizations with an international public health focus. And over the last 10 years working in communications, I've found myself almost naturally gravitating towards digital communication channels. I get really excited about new tools and new platforms that provide a space for us to share information in different ways and to be more efficient in the way that we work. What really attracts me to this area is that there's just an endless opportunity to learn. There's always something that we can do to improve our website, to make our intranet better, and to make our databases more user-friendly. Technology is always changing, and there's just an overwhelming amount of information out there today that we try to keep up with. I find it really inspiring, actually, to feel this kind of challenge on a daily basis.
I guess what really inspired me by technology is that it's very innovative. It changes all the time, it's never the same, and by working with web design, I actually find it to be quite creative.
As a millennial, I've been able to grow up with this incredible shift in technology. I love how easy technology has made our lives, and I basically wanted to be in an industry where I could be part of this rapid change. What attracts me in particular, being part of the television industry, is the way we consume content. We're no longer viewing content just on our television. Technological advances allow us to use our tablets or smartphones to search and view content wherever we are in the world.
What really attracts me about technology is its potential. It opens up a whole world of possibilities. It's about what humans can achieve. It's about how we make our dreams a reality. The fact that we have robotic exoskeletons that give people superhuman strength. Or that we have created drones that can survey areas of land otherwise inaccessible to us. Or that we have wearables that track our every movement and even our heartbeat, and then take this information so that we can transform it and use it in different ways. I think it's all very impressive and pretty cool. And for me personally, technology allows me to access a huge global audience. It allows me to talk to people from Namibia, from Peru, from Russia, and then bring them together into communities. And I think this is all very powerful.
I'm a girl and I like technology because we make commercials using a green screen app called Green Screen Octopus. It was really exciting.
So I think first and foremost is you don't necessarily have the influencers or the mentors as a young woman, or I think perhaps it's very rare. So if your parents are not necessarily in technology, or you don't have any women in your immediate family or at school and you're not introduced to the topic, you actually don't know what's out there and what's available. Like if I thought about being a child an engineer, I would actually just never have thought about it. It didn't cross my mind. But if I look back now, knowing what I've done, maybe I would consider it. Another barrier, I think it's important to remember that sometimes we can also be our own barriers. So I think it's really important in this field that you have to go in with that confidence, really speak your mind and show your passion for the technology, whether you're woman, whether you're man. It doesn't matter, you should say your thoughts.
This is something I've witnessed, I've seen for the past 15 years. Traditionally, broadcast engineering is overwhelmingly dominated by male professionals. I don't know so much about other technology environments, but I believe it's pretty much the same. I don't know why. Maybe it's because in the start it was the heavy production equipment. But I think also reasons can be found in the traditional gender division. Men and machines and technologies go well together. But I think this will be changing because probably of the eruption of IT and IP technologies in the field of broadcast engineering. No more heavy equipment. And even though IT is still a field where not so many women are represented, I think they are more present than in traditional broadcasting. So gradually, I think it would help and we will see more women. The other thing is there is really a need to take the end user perspective into account from the start. And I think women are very well equipped to help do that because we always say that they are more relating to their emotions, they have more empathy, they are more listening. So I think women can very well play that part of bridging the gap between experts in content and technologists.
In terms of the barriers that women face, lots of the research does show that women struggle to put themselves forward for things unless they feel like they've got all of the requirements that possibly advertised or talked about culturally. So for instance, if you're going for a job opportunity, then a lot of women won't go for that job unless they can tick off all of the requirements on the list in terms of qualifications and experience, whereas men will go for it if they've only got sort of a handful of the attributes on that list. So if you extend that to tech in general, there's a lot of talk about how you need to have coded, you need to have entrepreneurial experience, or you need to have a strong network in startups. You know, there's a lot of things that people say are useful or you should have before you make that leap. I don't think it's true. I think if you were to wait until you have all those things, then you could be waiting forever. So I would like to see more women make the jump without having necessarily all or any of those things, perhaps.
The most significant barriers for young women to start their career in the technical fields are the young women themselves. I think the most important part is to be confident, have a good education and be yourself.
Personally, I think that we have to start being more aware of our inherent bias. And as a society, I think that we have to be very careful about the messages we're sending our girls through the education system, through the media. This idea that has been perpetuated for so long that science and math and technology are industries that boys and men are more adept at, that has no basis in fact. It's a myth, and I think that we need to burst that myth and start telling girls that they can pursue their dreams in technology, in math, in science and engineering.
In my point of view, we are not well informed about what is technology, what is to be an engineer. So maybe we should explain more to girls what their work could be in technology-related fields. And also, I think that maybe some women don't feel comfortable in environments that are not equally balanced between men and women. So maybe trying to make more balanced environments will encourage more women to engage in technology.
I think that one of the barriers to women joining a technical field is a lack of exposure from a young age. I think there's a lack of information, and so it's just a missed opportunity to even realize that you might be interested in a technical field. In my case, no one in my family worked in a technical field. And when I think back to my primary school education and we had career days and parents would come in and speak about their job, I don't remember ever hearing anyone speak about being an engineer or working in IT. So I think that maybe one solution is to give young girls the opportunity just to discover various technical careers. I think that it would also help to have female role models working in these positions that young girls can look up to.
Unfortunately, I think there are tons of barriers for women in general to join any field, but mostly I think it's actually women themselves. Speaking from my personal experience, I can say that I graduated from the International University in Geneva, studying business administration and marketing. And yet, as an intern at EBU, I feel very welcome, I feel very warm, I feel constantly excited about what I'm doing, about my work, and I don't want to stop. So I don't think it has anything to do with the joining technology or any other field. Obviously the technology industry, it's dominated by men, and maybe this seems very frightening to some women, but maybe some rare cases it can be a positive thing, because you get different knowledge, and also growing up in this industry, I think you get more support from women that are already in this industry. Never mind any obstacles, because there will be obstacles in any career, in any field, in anything that you will try to do in life.
I don't think that there are any real barriers to women joining the technical field. It's all in the perception. Typically, girls, when they come through teenage years, don't get grabbed by computers and by technology historically in the same way perhaps that boys have. The sort of computer games that have been around, mainly the shoot-em-ups, to be honest, don't appeal to a lot of girls, and so they don't get involved and hooked in. I hope this is now beginning to change. Historically, of course, there's also been a lack of female role models in engineering and technology. And without them, why would a girl think that it is appropriate for her and something that she could go into? So the advance of Naomi Clymer now being president of the IET is a great achievement, and we need to have more of us who are working in this realm and in this area to actually be going into schools to be saying to girls, yes, this is something you can do.
I think technology is often seen as unglamorous. I think the biggest challenge is getting girls interested at a young age while they're at school. When I was at school, I took a computer science class as I wanted to learn how to code. What shocked me was that I was the only girl in the class. We need to change the way young people think about technology. Anybody in the Western world under the age of 25 wouldn't be able to function without a computer, phone, tablet. However, I'm very sure very few of them understand the technological side behind it.
For me, the greatest issue with technology is that it's often seen as a man's world, and this might dissuade women from even learning about it and seeing if it's something that interests them. And the way to address this is to give both girls and boys equal opportunities to play with it, explore technology, and learn about it and see how they can use them in their own lives. And I think this is even more important now because as we go forward, we're going into a world that is increasingly dominated by technology. So success in that world means success in understanding and using this technology. So it's very important that we invest in this equally for both genders.
Barriers between women and technology are well known, even if I think that the problem still remains a cultural and educational problem. Girls need guidance and training from adults to discover what technology really means. And I think it's also important to change the way little girls are exposed to technology by inspiring, educating them to be creative, innovative, to solve real problems through technology. A few years ago I went to an Arduino day. In the afternoon some fathers came with daughters, and I noticed that these girls were really happy to be at that event, and they had a lot of fun. And a few weeks ago, during another lab for making robots from recycled parts, I met two very smart little girls that were sketching the electrical circuits of these simple robots with their tutors, putting piece after piece and asking for questions. And I thought that those girls could make the difference one day.
I'm a girl and I love technology because in our class we're doing debates right now and we get to use our devices to research, type it out, and then we get to present it.
I would always advise someone to go into what they're passionate about. Go for what you're most interested in, and that's where you'll find the most happiness and the most meaning with your work.
I've seen over the past few years that many startups are making a difference, especially in the new technologies in the media environment. And I'm sure it's much easier for a young woman to develop her expertise and experience starting at that level, because it's more agile. And then once she has established her credentials, maybe it's easier for her to move into a bigger company.
Absolutely build a really strong network. I think that's been the best thing for me. And again, the research shows that men and women have to network in different ways. Men are able to ask for things without having sort of helped anyone in the first place, and quite often someone will still help them out, whereas women need to build up a bit of goodwill first. So if I were you, I would offering to do favours. It doesn't need to be a big thing, just offer to introduce them to someone that you know, or send them a link to something they might find interesting, invite them to an event, just show them that you're thinking of them. And then later, when you do come to ask them for an introduction yourself, then they're more likely to help you out. Good luck.
The advice I would like to give is always be awake and take chances as they come. Don't be afraid if there are any getbacks. They only help to improve, to get better. Be always honest and fair-minded. At least that's how it worked and still works with me.
I think that women all have a responsibility to support each other, and I hope that our male colleagues will also take on that role and support us in what we're doing. And I think things are changing, so I hope.
So I think that we should be ourselves. Don't worry about the stereotypes, even if they say that women are not made for technology. If you like it, just go for it, think big, and be yourself and inspire other women.
My advice to the people joining the technical field is, if anyone has an aim, he or she, it doesn't matter. Regardless of gender difference, one can overcome all the barriers unless there is a regulation or law limiting their choices. Always do your best, be ambitious, but you must control this feeling. It mustn't be turned to jealousy with your colleagues. Compete with yourself and be ambitious just on working hard, learning and gaining experience. Be humble, but never stop learning and working hard. Use your leisure time efficiently to rest and relax yourself. This will keep you away from the stress. Please, interest in fine arts or in social brands as well. This will improve your vision and creativity. Good luck. Goodbye from Turkish Radio and Television Corporation.
My advice to women thinking about moving into a technical field is just go for it. If you don't take a step forward, then you're always going to be in the same place. Wouldn't you rather take a step and find out where it might lead you? Maybe you won't end up exactly where you thought you would. I know I certainly didn't. But what I've learned is that when you open a door to something that piques your interest, suddenly there's a whole bunch of new doors that appear and you didn't even know that they existed before. So I think that if there's something that you feel passionate about, or even something that you just really want to learn more about, then you should listen to that and follow that feeling, because if you really love what you do, then going to work each day can be a lot of fun.
I would definitely suggest to be brave, not to be frightened by challenges, because there will be tons. You have to be open-minded, you have to be accepting of different things that are in this industry, and as long as you're accepting of it and you are trying to observe whatever your colleagues are going to try to teach you, it's not a challenge anymore. It's really like a library. It's really like an open book that you just have to care enough to read.
Don't exclude yourself because you think you might be different to others, you might not fit in. You are just as available and you are just as appropriate to go into the roles. Give it a go. Don't be afraid to fail, just try it. I've been given a couple of very practical pieces of advice. First one is, if you go into a meeting room and it's all men in there, make sure before the meeting starts, let your voice be heard so people aren't surprised when they hear a female voice. And the other one is, and this is very, very vain, but don't be too worried about your fingernails. Don't be too concerned about having them well groomed. Your manicuring might have to slip a bit. But generally, I'd say give it a go. I've had the most fantastic buzzes in my career from things like seeing a piece of equipment that I designed in use in a television studio 6 years after I installed it there. It's the best feeling in the world when you see things that you have done and you've been available being used and being able to make a difference in people's lives.
My advice to any woman wanting to enter the world of technology or progress in her career would be to make sure that she knows what she wants. In order to be accepted in a very male-dominated world, women need to assert themselves with confidence and drive. Be sure to stay on top of the latest technological advancements. So if anybody asks you your opinion on something, you have a very well-informed response.
What I would say to a woman going into technology is just go for it. Actually, there's a lot of really extraordinary women already making an impact in that world. At the organization where I work for, ISO, the committee that's developing standards on information technology, for instance, is led by a woman. And there's many other extraordinary women out there who are really making a difference and working together with great men as well. So I think we need to get beyond this way of thinking of men versus women and just see each other as humans with great potential who can make contributions to the world we live in.
Work hard, efficiently and with passion. Jump on new challenges because it can be really exciting, and never stop learning. Don't wait for things to happen, but making them happen. Bye bye.